And although in the many reports of the evidence, the relative expressions in question are distinctly and invariably employed, just as I have employed them in this conversation with yourself, no notice whatever of the gross discrepancy as yet has been taking place by any of the public journals or by any of the myrmidons of police. I shall add but one to the arguments against the gang, but this one has, to my own understanding at least, a weight altogether irresistible. Under the circumstances of the large reward offered, and full pardon to any king's evidence, it is not to be imagined for a moment that some member of a gang of low ruffians, or of any body of men, would not long ago have betrayed his accomplices. Each one of the gang so placed is not so much greedy of reward or anxious for escape as fearful of betrayal. He betrays eagerly and early that he may not himself be betrayed. That the secret has not been divulged is the very best of proof that it is in fact a secret. The horrors of this dark deed are known only to one or two living human beings and to God. Let us sum up now the meager yet certain fruits of our long analysis. We have attained the idea either of a fatal accident under the roof of Madame de Luc, or of a murder perpetrated in the thicket of the Barrière de Roulet by a lover, or at least by an intimate and secret associate of deceased. This associate is of swarthy complexion. This complexion, the hitch and the bandage, and the sailor's knot with which the bonnet ribbon is tied, point to a seaman. His companionship with the deceased, a gay but not an abject young girl, designates him as above the grade of a common sailor. Here the well-written and urgent communications to the journals are much in the way of corroboration. The circumstances of the first elopement, as mentioned by late Mercury, tends to blend the idea of the seaman with that of the naval officer who was first to have led the unfortunate into crime. And here most fitly comes the consideration of the continued absence of him of the dark complexion. Let me pause to observe that the complexion of this man is dark and swarthy. It is not common swarthiness which constituted the sole point of remembrance, both as regards Valence and Madame de Luc. But why is this man absent? Was he murdered by the gang? If so, why are there only traces of the assassinated girl? The scene of the two outrages will naturally be supposed identical. And where is his corpse? The assassination would most probably have disposed of both in the same way, but it may be said that this man lives and is deterred from making himself known through dread of being charged with the murder. This consideration might be supposed to operate under him now at this late period, since it has been given in evidence that he was first seen with Marie, but it would have had no force at the period of the deed. The first impulse of the innocent man would have been to announce the outrage and to aid in identifying the ruffians. This policy would have suggested he had been seen with the girl. He had crossed the river with her in an open ferry boat. The denouncing of the assassins would appear, even to an idiot, the surest and sole means of relieving himself from suspicion. We cannot suppose him on the night of the fatal Sunday, both innocent himself and incognizant of an outrage committed. Yet only under such circumstances is it possible to imagine that he would have failed if alive in the denouncement of the assassins. And what means are ours of attaining the truth? We shall find these means multiplying and gathering distinctness as we proceed. Let us sift to the bottom of this first affair, of the first elopement. Let us know the full history of the quote officer with his present circumstances and his whereabouts of the precise period of the murder. Let us carefully compare with each other the various communications sent to the evening paper, in which the object was to inculpate a gang. This done, let us compare these communications, both as regards style and message, with those sent to the morning paper at a previous period, and insisting so vehemently upon the guilt of Manias. And all done, let us again compare these various communications with the known messages of the officer. Let us endeavor to ascertain by repeated questionings of Madame de Luc and her boys, as well as the omnibus driver Valence, something of the personal appearance and bearing of the man of dark complexion. Queries, skillfully directed, will not fail to elicit from some of these parties information on the particular point, or upon others, information which the parties themselves may not even be aware of possessing. And let us now trace the boat picked up from the bargeman on the morning of the 23rd of June, Monday, and which was removed from the barge office without a cognizance of the officer in attendance, and without the rudder at some period prior to the discovery of the corpse. With the proper caution and perseverance, we shall infallibly trace this boat, for not only can the barge who have picked it up identify it, but the rudder is at hand. The rudder of a sailboat would not have been abandoned without inquiry by one altogether at ease in heart. And here let me pause to insinuate a question. There was no advertisement of the picking up of this boat. It was silently taken to the barge office and as silently removed. But its owner or employer, how happened he, at so early a period as Tuesday morning, to be informed without the agency of the advertisement of the locality of the boat taken up on Monday, unless we imagine some connection with the Navy, some personal permanent connection leading to cognizance of its minute interests, its petty local news? In speaking of the lonely assassin dragging his burden to the shore, I have already suggested the probability of his availing himself of a boat. Now we are to understand that Marie Roget was precipitated from a boat. This would naturally understand that Marie Roget